It's so funny to watch Gary get excited about that division. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I love watching those classes because they bump and grind. They race. Gary gets pumped watching that division. You know, like some people get up on sprint cars or modifieds. I love it all. But it's funny to watch people get excited about certain divisions and why. Gary, you ran that class back in the day.
Yep.
That was your thing. You know, it was when you got into racing, that's what you did. Dave owns a mini stock that he's trying to get on the track. I think would be really good at Southern Oregon. You know, if you put the right driver in it. Gary's looking for a ride.
Yeah, put Gary in it.
This whole rant that I just went on was about grassroots racing and why it's gone. It's gone because of money. It's gone because of it's a corporate level, even at grassroots now. And I cannot disagree when I was talking with this individual that it's a bad thing. It's hurting the sport because there's guys that can't do this anymore. There's guys that just, are out-dollared. They got the talent to drive. There's no doubt they got the talent to drive. But they're out-dollared. Or whatever the case may be. But we're at a time now where I have to agree. Hometown, family deal, grassroots sports is at a different level. Gary, you and I had a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things we had to talking about was, you want a perfect example of what we're talking about? Look at the sport of rodeo. Rodeo used to be you showed up at a county fair or have an event once a year in your hometown. It was a big, the pro guys would come in, right? The jump bulls, and someone would walk out $2,000. Look at the corporate sponsorship in the sport of rodeo now. Pickup trucks, beer, clothing lines. Everything you can imagine is now at the corporate level. Rodeo right now is what NASCAR was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I've even sponsored a couple of the rodeos here for.
See?
Some of the local stuff. Barrel racing and the Bronx. I've sponsored them.
It's amazing to me where everything is in sports now. Now, and we can talk about grassroots. We can go all the way up to the NBA and the NFL. Overpaid athletes for one. Guys getting $100 million contracts to play a game. Ridiculous. Okay, that is the type of stuff that is bad for, maybe good for that individual, bad for the sport, because that's going to hurt the sport. Look at what happened to Indy cars in the early 90s. Indy cars nearly died because they were so overpriced, and I'm watching the sport of dirt track racing, and it's heading right towards the same trend.
Price themselves out of existence.
Am I right? Am I wrong when I say that? Truly.
No. So what do you propose for a solution? One of the things I think of is sponsorships.
Yeah, well, I will say that I do see a lot of family orientation there because I do try my best to capture that.
Right.
I see a lot of that.
That's on the stand side.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I was saying earlier in the show. I see a lot of that there.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have any. As media, when I say I'm talking about media, I shouldn't say I. Media doesn't really have much influence on that, or what happens in the grandstands, or what happens in the pit area. That's going to be an environment you create amongst yourselves. Whether drivers are getting along, it's not going to be family-oriented fun. Okay, if everybody's having a good time, everybody's on the same page, understanding what we do, why we do, it's going to be more of a family atmosphere, good times, cool.
I think it needs to be smaller sponsorships, like what I would do. Gary mentioned sponsorships.
Why?
Okay,
but why?
You get a sponsor, okay, a guy that's just been doing okay. All of a sudden, hey, I can buy a $50,000 engine now. I can up my game. Okay, that's where it kept getting higher. I can go out and buy $5,000 shocks. So it just keeps going.
But
up
how
and up and up.
You cannot
There's
limit that.
There's no more hometown.
No.
You
racing.
can't. There's no way. There is absolutely no way to limit that. You cannot tell in the rules you can only have a sponsor worth $5,000.
Right.
You can't do it, and that's why the sport is changing. Is because the money at all levels, from mini stocks, Hornets, street stocks, through modifieds, late models, and sprint cars on dirt, big block modifieds. We're talking, guys. It's getting so outrageous. Okay.
I think the fun starts leaving.
Here's what you if you're going to have, okay, if you're going to have the sport survive, okay, and this is my opinion. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm not telling anybody they're right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm telling you my perspective. If you're going to have the sport survive on the local level, I'm going to go completely opposite what he just said with sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the track, I mean, you've got to have here's what you have to have. You have to have championship point funds. If you put up that you're paying $8,000 to $10,000 to win a sprint car or a late model or a modified division track championship, do you know how many cars are going to come to your track? Okay. We're talking about the survival of the sport right there. What's that going to do?
All right. That's going to bring racers right there.
It's going to bring racers, but it's going to go the opposite way of the family hometown feel.
Yep.
This is where we're at. It's a catch-22.
It is.
It's a catch-22. What do you want to do? Do you want to race for no money, have low car counts, low fan count, and have a good time? Or do you want to race for money and have sponsorship, points funds, and better competition, higher car counts, and track sponsorship? Because if you're going to have all that, you're not going to have the hometown family feel. It's gone. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. Things get a little more serious when you're putting that kind of money up. If you want to race for fun, I get it. But the state of the sport now is beyond the hometown family feel. You want the family feel hometown, you have to create that yourself amongst the people in the pits or the stands. That is an environment you're going to create. The sport of racing, that's been eliminated. I mean, as a sport as a whole, because of what we're talking about. Does that make sense? You guys understand what I'm saying when I say that?
I totally get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's my opinion on that particular conversation. And the person I had a great guy, a lot of conversation with him, but I thought it was very interesting when he said that it's just not hometown family fun anymore. And I got to thinking about it because I'm not out there in the pit area. Okay, media does not influence what happens in the pit area much. There are times, yes, that you can have some influence, good, bad, or otherwise. But that's not something that media creates. That's something that's created in the pit area amongst everybody out there. Okay? Much like your own work environment. Do you go to work and you want to have a good time and get along with everybody, or do you want to be that guy that stirs the pot and you know what I mean?
See, I look at this dirt track racing, looking back at what I saw in NASCAR back in the 60s, a little bit before that. There's a lot of hometown things. The sponsorships come in, the big money. What do you have now? $100,000 engines, $1 million sponsorships. The same thing's going to happen.
There's nothing hometown about that.
There's no hometown anything.
There's not.
How many guys own their own car at a NASCAR level?
None.
No.
Nobody.
Not a one.
Well, maybe one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
That are partners
How
in
many
it.
of the top dirt track guys don't have a major sponsor?
Top.
Not very
Well,
many.
when you say top dirt track guys, what are we talking? The local level or the national level? National level, that's the problem. All those guys have
national
corporate
level.
sponsorships.
Even local level, you're getting some.
You're getting Ford. You're
pretty
getting
big
Toyota, Chevrolet.
name.
You're getting Penske.
Yeah, you're getting big names even on local levels now.
Mm-hmm.
And who's starting to dominate? You can see this. Money talks, money races.
And you're making my point, and you're doing a great job of it because you don't have to be the best driver
The guy that
because
puts it
your
in his
equipment is so
garage,
good.
he
That
does
makes
the
up for a
best he
lot.
can.
That makes up a lot. You can take an average guy, put him in a really, really good car, and all of a sudden he's a really good driver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You take that same guy and you put him in a car that is junk, and he's going to be average at best. It's the nature of the beast. I mean, unfortunately, it's the way the world is going, not just a sport, the way the world is going. AC/DC said it when they said money talks. Right?
You know, I've seen some of the top NASCAR drivers come down to like go-karts, and they don't win every race.
No.
they're there to have fun, but they're racing. I mean, they don't want to lose. They just got that in their blood. But I've seen them at tracks, and they don't win everything. You would think they would, but they don't. They're getting 4th, 5th, 6th places, and they're a major contender.
It's a sport from go-karts all the way to the top. It's just money has changed everything. So that is my discussion. Anybody has anything to say, hey, hit us up on the chat line. We're listening. We'll talk about what you guys have to say. I'm interested in hear what everybody else thinks and feels, not just what we think and feel, or I think most of us here are on the same page for the most part.
Yeah.
Most of us. We understand. We see it. We understand what's going on. Like I said, I'm not telling anybody they're right, they're wrong, they're indifferent. I'm not saying that. I'm listening to anybody's opinion. That's what I love about these discussions we have, perspectives and points of views. I'm all about that because I'm passionate about this sport. Everybody knows that. Clearly, you can hear it just in this discussion. I get a little fired up about things. But I want to hear what people have to think. Because I'll tell you something. The poll that I put up on Moxie Media Promotions this week was, to me, very, very interesting. You guys saw it, the poll. What do you prefer?
I thought it was very interesting as well.
Slick and smooth or hooked up and tacky. Now, you got to remember, this isn't just for the drivers. This is for fans. This is for sponsors, okay? That's what the Moxie Media is about, the whole sport, okay? Not just the drivers or whatever. Here's what I found interesting, okay? I'm going to read you some of this stuff. When I say perspectives and opinions, okay? We have 210 votes on this. What type of racing surface do you prefer? Slick and smooth or tacky and hooked up? If you haven't voted, this thing's still open for 4 more days, okay? Moxie Media Promotions Facebook page. Go there, find the post, and it's got 2 late models side by side on a slick track, 1 late model hooked up by himself on a wet, tacky, thick, gooey clay. It's all horsepower, okay? What type of racing surface do you prefer? Slick and smooth or tacky and hooked up? 210 votes have come in so far. 115 votes for tacky and hooked up. Okay? 95 for slick and smooth.
I thought it'd come out about 50-50. It's close.
I didn't. I did not think it would come out in 50-50. In fact, I thought it would be the other way around for slick and smooth. Especially from the driver's perspective.
Yeah, that's good though.
So when we go, I'm looking at the list of people who have voted slick and smooth, okay?
Yep.
There's a lot of fans. There's a lot of drivers in here, okay? A lot of people that have been around the sport.
I enjoyed reading the comments.
Well, I'm going to get to that. Because this is what's great about this sport. Perspectives and opinions and different styles of driving, different styles of setup. Everybody has their personal preference. I'm looking at some of these guys that voted slick and smooth that have won a lot of races on slick and smooth. The last slick and smooth vote that came in was from Brian Thompson. He used to run modifieds and super sports. Won a lot of races on slick and smooth. This was a guy who was a rookie driver that his first night out got onto the side of a veteran, legendary champion and flipped him. And I thought to myself, that's not a good way to start your racing career. From then on, he got better and better and better. Ended up just missing a title a couple of years ago in the super sports by, I think it was 11 points. Because he broke during the main in the last race of the year. But won a lot of races on slick and smooth. Brian Thompson, not surprised to see him vote on that. Brody Sim, young guy in the karts, now moving up into sprint cars. Here's a kid that, phenomenal driver on the slick and smooth. No surprise to see Bob Jeffrey, one of the best late model drivers I have seen in the Western region in my life. Anybody that argues that Bob was not a good driver doesn't know anything about anything. One of the best I've ever seen on a dry slick track. Votes slick.